Hello and welcome to the Unofficial Controller Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast, episode 146. I don't want a lot for Christmas. There's just one thing I need. A Christmas Fireside chat with me, George, and as always joined by RGT this week, and Seb, bulging stockings to my singular piece of coal. How are you both? And Merry Christmas. It's, for the sake of the episode, it's Christmas Day. I hope you're both well. I hope that Father Christmas or someone akin to that has slid down whatever heating exhaust you have, be it gas, coal, fire, or similar. He's survived that, and he's bequeathed you with presents. Some would say that you never see Santa Claus, a.k.a. Father Christmas, a.k.a. St. Nicholas, in the same room as the Ray, and it would be remiss of me to point out the fact that they have many skimmer. Hold up there, because that word cocktail was meant to be similar skill sets, but it came out as skimmer, which, to be fair, in the history of the show, probably means all of the above wrapped up in one pretty package. Before we get stuck into the meat and two veg of the show, this is the meat and two veg of the show. There's nothing hiding here. No news this week. No new releases. We found out last week that Ray had pretty much raided everywhere. And until January rolls around, there are no new games. So make the best of the ones that you've got. Yes. So with all things trying to keep some format of the show alive in the festive period, guys, what are you hoping to unwrap under the tree? RGT, have you requested any games off the big man, a.k.a. Ray, a.k.a. Mr. Christmas, or not this year?
I haven't, because it's also a.k.a. Mrs. RGT / Santa Claus. I normally, she's very good at knowing, I know I have a bit of a collection of games, but she's very good at knowing what I've got and what I haven't, and so I never say nothing. I just wait for the surprises that she gives me a game. Sometimes she'll get me something a bit retro. Sometimes she'll get me something from the collection. Sometimes she'll get me something PS5, maybe Switch. Even one year she got me a custom-built arcade machine for me. So she's very good with those games. So I haven't got any hopes yet of what I want. I like to just wait and be surprised what I'm going to get, I think.
I think she knows exactly where you like to be tickled, hence why you married her. Lock that stuff down. I like what you're doing. Shrewd move. Some would say I could probably learn a lot from that. If you like it, put a ring on it. Not that ring, but a ring. A prawn ring from Iceland, probably. Okay, Seb, have you written a list through the medium of magic? Has that list gone up the chimney and found its way to the North Pole? And if so, my dear friend, what is on that list?
Well, I the magic of Christmas is one thing that where I always write my list, and Santa or Saint Nick or the Ray, as we like to call him here, has he gives me a mishmash of items every year. A lot of those items never deal with gaming; they always are outside the wheelhouse of gaming. But in my list of video games, I want more time to actually get to play backlog games, and I think that's the real magic that I've requested from the Ray this year. Just give me a hyperbolic time space that I can just finish a couple of these things off here. So no new games, but more so just the time and the discipline to just work through this video game backlog.
Dare we ask, is Bloodborne on that list? Because I know that last time we spoke to you, Ray had been following you around with at this point, a battered-looking copy of Bloodborne, but I don't think he's going to let this lie.
So I've made a healthy decision for myself to reinstall Bloodborne on the PS5. So Bloodborne is sitting there. Now, will I have the courage to actually hit play on that bad boy? That's a debate for another time. But
what's the matter with you, Seb? Don't you like a little bit of the yarn and blood in you?
To be honest, to satiate the lust and the carnal desire that Ray has for me getting like absolutely demolished in Bloodborne, I decided to reinstall it, and I think that's a a nice middle ground for me and Ray right now.
Back off, Ray. It's installed. I can click X at any time, but only when I'm good and ready. How far, Seb, did you get into Bloodborne? Father Gascoigne, further than this? What the depths of depravity did you sink to in Yarn?
I don't know how well versed y'all are in the game, and I'm not very well versed in the lore of Bloodborne, but I got to a boss fight where you're fighting an old dusty man in a cemetery.
And Father Gascoigne.
That is him?
Mm.
Okay, so yeah, I fought a giant werewolf like creature and beat that boss, but then the next boss I think was like the guy in the cemetery, and he was just absolutely demolishing me, molly-whopping me all across that cemetery, and I was just like, you know what? I think this is it for me. I think I've plateaued in this game. I don't necessarily know how I can come back from this, because I'm not one to want to go back and just grind for grind's sake and try to like get as many souls as possible to try to go back and beat him. And I think that was like the disconnect for me with FromSoft games, to where like they always felt so grindy to me that I never could actually like sink my teeth into them. Elden Ring was a different story. Like Elden Ring felt different in that regard. It felt more like, maybe it was the open world, or maybe it was like other aspects, but it felt more accessible, so to speak, and less grindy. So I really connected with Elden Ring and didn't necessarily do it with Bloodborne. But I want to go back to Bloodborne, because I do think that game is like a cult classic at this point, and people want a remastered version of that. And I want to get involved in that conversation. I want to see if it really deserves that.
I think you've got all the tools in your gaming snap-on chest to really deconstruct Bloodborne. We did an episode called My First From Software Game, and I'd started playing Bloodborne. Admittedly, I should have gone back to it. I hadn't, but I'd got full Excel spreadsheet on that bad boy, and was at the time had been able to sort of time the animations, the swing time and the approaching time of the enemy to be able to really take them to town. And for that reason, I probably over dedicated to the original loop, Yharnam, the bridge and all that sort of stuff again and again and again. And I was like, I am having this in the most safest of environments Bloodborne can give me. I am basically just going to grind this. And I did, and Father Gascoigne went down, and then there's a poisoned enemy called the Blood-Soaked Beast, I believe, who in his last throws he emits poison at the same token. And I didn't have the beast was going down relatively easily for a boss. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't have the skill set to do the paper light on my weapon to get the damage multiplier on him, because he was a furry creature setting on fire. I was going to have a big bonus on taking him down. I also didn't have the skill set to be able to heal myself from the poison that I got from being within his radius just for attacking him, which is kind of a mean thing for a boss to do, really. Come within 2 yards of me and you'll get poisoned. Try and attack me from afar and it's not going to happen. Work it out, bad boy. Come at me. So I went at him again and 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 again. And on very few occasions, nearly got there. But it both of us down to a pixel. And in the end, I just said, you know what, Blood-Soaked Beast, you can have this. And then Horizon came along and poof, there I was gone, Forbidden West in what I feel controversial and foreshadowing for the episode after this one. Was my game of the year, Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Setting the seeds for the next couple of episodes there. I like that.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, there's a game that came out earlier this year that I reviewed for the ProNerdReport.com, where I normally write my video game reviews. It's a game called Thymesia. It is a game very similar to Bloodborne in the fact that it is almost like a Souls-esque kind of game, and but the I guess the hook here is that it's fast motion. It is almost like Sekiro, almost like Bloodborne. In that sense, it's almost akin to that. So I'm like, I played through that whole entire game and managed to actually beat that. It's only like 5 bosses, so a lot smaller scale than Bloodborne. But I think that one got its hooks into me, and I think it might be the catalyst to actually get me back in Bloodborne, because I'm like, if I can beat this, and this is very similar, the gameplay is very similar, then I can probably beat Bloodborne.
I think I had a similar mindset. I just looked through some of the games in my catalogue and thought they required ultimately just as much precision and execution. But unfortunately, the From Software games, I've often described them as the Emperor's clothes of games. You know,
Oh, that's a good one. Mm-hmm.
oh, yeah, I love all the From Software, blah blah blah. You know, that makes me a gamer. I put it on, no matter what it is. It's a grindy mess because other games can be just as difficult, but pull you through in a different way. No issues. Obviously, From Software games, they pull you through, but they punish mistakes. Now, we all make mistakes in life, as we do in gaming. But what do we learn from a From Software game? I tell you what we learn: patience, dedication, and seeing something through, something which From Software have shown to me I don't do. And as for me, unusually this year, I haven't really asked for any gaming-related tat. Probably some MLB bits and bobs, but obviously that covers baseball, not just a video game. Before they put pen to pixel, that existed in school lots and little league yards up and down America. So you can't really call that gaming tat. I'm not thinking of getting a PlayStation Lite this year. Nothing. Each year they bring one out in a different color.
Let me ask you that.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but let me ask you, like, have you, since they haven't come out with a different color skin, have you changed the faceplates at all on your PS5?
Oh, in that regard, no. And I'm the sort of weirdo that would buy them on sale and leave them sealed in the box as a gaming curio, much like an Xbox 360 faceplate from back in the day, when changing faceplates was all the rage. I see why PlayStation's done it now. It means they can bring out limited editions and you don't need to fork out for the console, because that's something that kind of I found PlayStation were a little bit naughty at. Like, I understand they've got to make money, but people are so hooked into the PlayStation ecosystem now. If that they've got a God of War bundle at the moment, which is basically the white console in a unique cardboard cover with either the game inside or the code. Now, what they could have done is actually release that with some God of War Bear and Wolf faceplates, much like the controller. And if you'd been that much of a rabid fan of Ragnarok, you could have bought the faceplates and made yours look like the limited edition copy. I see there being legs in that, but so far all they've done is release the colours like they've to match the controllers that they've sold in the last sort of 12 to 18 months. I hope one day they do that. So no, I haven't gone down the faceplate route. One day I might choose to, but for this Christmas, and they're not cheap, Seb, though, are they? What are they retailing for in the American office? They're like 60, 70 bucks.
Yeah, about the price of a standard game, $60 there. But I would say I went ahead and got a third party one because I was, given one for review, and the PS5 looks really good in black. That black on black kind of aesthetic, and mine is like not the gloss black. It is very much that matte black kind of thing. So that glossy front plate of like the PS5 mixed in with that matte black kind of like side plates looks really good. It kind of has that. It kind of tones down, if you didn't necessarily like that, the white and black aesthetic or the modern like sleekness that they went for with the PS5. It kind of tones that down a bit, and it kind of makes it seem more almost PS3-ish, in the way that it looks, as opposed to that big modern tower that is the PS5 standard.
My ears just picked up at the thought of PS3 and a modern gaming show being talked about again. I had my way at me every week. That's something I want for Christmas, a time machine, so I can go back to when the PS3 was current and tell people how amazing it is. But that time has passed. Let me ask you another question then, gentlemen. Seb, what's your most nostalgic Christmas gaming memory?
Oh, that's a good one. I think two games come to mind. One is Batman Arkham Origins, because it is like a Christmas-based game, and
I love that game.
Do you really?
The unsung hero of the Arkham games. Like, yeah, it's not as polished. Yes, it's not as classy. Yes, it does things with the lore that are a little bit edgy, but It's a game at Christmas with Batman in it, and you know what? That open world, it's with its Christmas lights and the shop windows and everything. They've done a really, really, really good job. And as a prequel to the Arkham series, it's a pretty damn good job. As a standalone game, just a small title. I say small. If you want to max it out, it's going to take you probably all of Christmas. But for a small, enjoyable run through of the bosses, good game. Yeah. So tell me more about your nostalgia with that gem.
I really enjoyed this game, and this is a game I usually go to almost every holiday, just because, like you said, it has a very Christmas vibe to it. The whole city of Gotham is decked out in that in Christmas decor. Like you can see some of the like lesser grunts that you come across, decked out in Christmas hats and such like that. There's always that nod that reminds you, hey, this game takes place at Christmas time, and then you combine that with like some really good underrated boss fights, like spoiler alert here, but like Deathstroke is in this game, and like facing off against him is one of the better boss fights in all of the Arkham games. Like it feels more Batman-esque, where you're like where you're fighting a battle between life and death with two people who aren't supernatural or super enhanced beings. They're just like highly skilled and capable humans. So I'm like, a lot of what you said is something I completely like agree with, and that's why it kind of pulls me in every year, and I kind of like replay this game every year, because like it does feel like the perfect die-hard video game in a sense, to where like it feels like Christmas, but yet it gives you enough action to where you can sink your teeth into. So that's a game I just generally go back to every year.
As it gets crazier towards the end as well, and I think you end up in like the Joker's fun house in that hotel that spans across two hotels with multiple levels. Oh, it's just so wonderful. And as it sort of builds to the climax as well, just a real nice piece of gaming. If I got that on, I slept on that. But if I'd have been around when that was launched and brand new, I think maybe, I don't know why, but for me, like I had to really slog through the first 30, 40 minutes of the game, maybe to an hour. And then after that, I was all in. And once I got to the Deathstroke, that was it. Once I'd got him done, I just fell deeply in love with the game. Like a schoolboy who got his PP touch for the first time.
What? But yeah. I'm besides the analogy there, I'm completely with you. Like I'm completely with you. It's one of those games to where like I said, I can play it over and over again. But between that and playing like whatever new games I get for Christmas or whatever like holiday sales I can find on like the PSN store, Steam, et cetera, like that's pretty much how I kind of like spend my holidays. It's either working on the video game backlog, because every year I like to do a game of the year like rundown and trying to see what my top 10 games were, and then like just replaying some of the oldies but goodies,
Beautiful. RGT, let me throw it over to you. Which game do you play to get yourself in the holiday mood?
It's not so much a certain game I'd play. I've got certain gaming memories of certain systems and games which always flood back at Christmas. I mean, I got a completely different mix of games. I mean, even now, this will go straight over your guys' heads, but when I got my ZX Spectrum back in the day and played light gun games all Christmas Day with my dad, I always remember that. And that was just a marvel to have that at home at the time. It was something brilliant. I always remember that. And then I go back to, it was about 2016, 2017. I mean, my dad's not interested in gaming at all, but Mrs. RGT got me the ABC Murders, Agatha Christie game for Christmas. And I sat down and played for it with my dad, because it was like an Agatha Christie show. You had to work the puzzles out and solve the crimes, and he absolutely loved it. So I remember things like that. The Batman game as well, which George got me onto. I'd never played. You told me about it, listening to the show, Christmas game, played that. Yeah, that really makes it Christmassy, that game for me. And I'd say more recently, Miles Morales.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is Christmas. And I want to play it again this year, because that is Christmas to me. They really, with them superb graphics, it really get that when you walk for that market. And it's not just the graphics, it's the sound. If you play it with, I know George uses surround sound. I use the Pulse 3D headset. You walk around that market and people are talking about Christmas and presents and they're buying hot chestnuts, and there's people buying food and having a drink, and it gets you so in the mood for Christmas. So yeah, as a more recent game, Miles Morales is that Christmas game for me at the moment.
The only downside I have with that, and I love it, and I'll install it tomorrow, but it still feels so fresh in my mind from when I platinumed it. What 2 years ago now? That I feel like I might be treading over old ground too soon. But I've been working through Spider-Man Remastered, which was part of the Miles Morales package when it came out.
Yeah,
I've played it through once, finished it, the remastered version on PS5, and now I'm working through on the new Game Plus. Every now and then I'll pick it up and do a couple of little bits. And I noticed that game. I was swinging through Central Park, and I thought, the timeline for Spider-Man and Miles Morales is really tight, because I noticed it was autumn time. It's the first time it ever really clicked in my head, but playing Spider-Man Remastered, I was like, it's autumn. And this Miles Morales literally follows on immediately afterwards. Maybe 2 months, a month has passed, and boom, we're into Miles Morales. And I was like, yeah, this is classy. That whole package. But Miles Morales definitely is a Christmas game. I think, nostalgia-wise, I've been thinking about this. I've been in this show a number of years now, and obviously people probably know more about my Christmas memories than I do myself. And quite often they were formed around memories that me and Tom might have had, or earlier memories or Christmas-themed games like Die Hard trilogy or other stuff. But I think back that I got a Super Nintendo for Christmas, the Mario All-Stars yellow box with the pack-in Mario All-Stars. That system in that yellow box and Mario All-Stars in general, the way the menu starts with it all in darkness and then it lights up and they're all there. That, for me, is big nostalgia.
That's when you just get little things, isn't it? It's just a little thing, not that menu startup.
Yeah.
That's lodged in. I mean, that same generation, I've got a memory which was one of my sort of gaming regrets, where I was a bit of a naughty RGT back in the day, and I got I was really craving a Master System, because obviously the NES wasn't as big in the UK as it was in America. It's Master System over here, and my parents got me a Master System too. Sorry, Mummy and Daddy RGT, if you're listening. And I'd found out where they'd hidden it, and I'd carefully, this sounds terrible now, I'd carefully slit the tape, and I had a little portable television in my bedroom, and because I was off school, while my mum would either be out around her friends and my dad was at work, I would plug it in, carry on with Alex Kidd that was built into the system, and play it. And so by the time Christmas Day came around, I completed it. So I had to then try and be all happy and surprised and all over the place. And I never felt so much regret in all my life, because I remember thinking to myself, I should have really been really happy and surprised here, but I'm not, because I've known I've had it for a month.
And you've already finished the packing game.
Yeah, and I still look at I've got a Master System 2 now in my collection. I still look at that now, and that always brings me that memory. So I never tried to sneak my gaming gifts early again after that.
Do you think that is what put you down the rabbit hole of hoarding these games? That nostalgia, do you think, brought you in is that guilt part of what's made you a gamer?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the reason I've got what I've got is just from memories. I started off collecting through memories, and that was, I had a period where I thought, I wouldn't mind going back playing that game. I played it, and it suddenly brought me back memories of other games and certain games in certain eras. So I started collecting those, and then I went from, going from getting a PS2 again to, I'll get a PS1 again. I loved having my PS1. I went to PS1 again. Then I thought, well, hang on, I never had an N64. Let's try the N64 route. And so then, because then it just spiraled and went on and on and on. But yeah, it started off just through nostalgic memories, and you can say from Christmas time. I got a Spectrum again because of having my Spectrum at Christmas time. Master System, try and right the wrongs of what I'd done before. But yeah, it's just a lot of it does link back to Christmas time memories, I think.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Do you like video games, podcasts, and reminiscing? I'm actor, video game writer, and total sweetie pie Connor Savage McCabe, and on each episode of Call Me By Your Game, I sit down with a guest for an intimate look at a special game from their past. Did you and your dad beat Spyro the Dragon over the holidays? Or was Halo 4 the one thing that united your roommates during your senior year of college? Stories like these are what Call Me By Your Game is about. From video game content creator Janet Garcia to Hades voice actor Courtney Vinay's, I interview wonderful comedians and game industry friends about these memories. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, and maybe someday you'll call me by your game.
Okay. Seb, is there one non-Christmas type scenario, and it doesn't have to be a Christmas game in this instance, going back into your childhood, walking deep now into those memories, they seem less real because they happened so long ago now, but these sort of ethereal feelings, what's the earliest gaming Christmas thing you can nail your hat on?
So my first console was the Super Nintendo, but that was something, that was like my uncle and my dad and me all kind of like shared joint custody of, and like a lot of times they were playing Mortal Kombat and such like that, and I was a wee young lad and wasn't quite able to fully appreciate that game at that time because I was like really young at the time. So my earliest Christmas gift that I can remember where it was like, this is your console, this is your baby, like that no one else is really going to touch this but you, was the original PlayStation, like the PS1. And I remember it like it was yesterday. Open that thing up at Christmas, happy as can be. I'm like, yes, I got it. By the power of Grayskull, I have the power now. Like it is me. Like, and I opened it up, and my mom had gotten me like four games, and three of which were like sports games at the time. And I remember like looking at the only game that wasn't a sports game and thinking to myself, I've never even heard of this game before. But it was a little dude with pink hair who would run around and try to beat the hell out of pigs. And his name was Toomba. I don't know if you ever heard. Toomba. Yeah. And I had no idea what Toomba's beef was with like these pigs, what they had done to him, why he felt the need to just, like run after them and grab their butts and like try to bite their butts and such like that. I didn't know if he was a pervert or if he was just like, like really had a beef against pigs at the time. But like that was probably my first entryway into like, oh, this is like your console, this is your game. That was my Christmas memory. And even though Toomba is not like a Hall of Fame game, I wouldn't put it in the Hall of Fame by any means. It was one of the first games that I was just like, whoa, this is what single player gaming feels like. Like this is what it feels like to go on that narrative adventure. Because I didn't really get to play Mario until like after I had gotten that PlayStation, after I got that first PlayStation. So that was my first real experience with like single player gaming, and I've never looked back ever since.
So the PS1 was technically your first console then of your own?
Yeah, for sure.
What's your favorite PS1 game?
That's dang. That is probably like a Hall of Fame level question because like there's so many good ones. I would probably say, Crash Bandicoot is up there for me. Like I really enjoyed the original Crash Bandicoot games, despite like how janky like they could be, and then running towards the camera was so jarring at the time to where like you were platforming those elements. So probably Crash Bandicoot, or I would probably say Crash Bandicoot or Spyro the Dragon.
Very good. I don't know what probably Resident Evil is the one that I got the most traction from. It wasn't long before then I kind of switched to an N64 and sucked back in all the Nintendo goodness that I'd exhaled when I traded my Super Nintendo in for as the show knows, a PS1 and a demo disc. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
Oh, it's all like Mario, boy. Yeah, but Dad, look, I've got a looping video of a T-Rex running on a black flat background, and this T-Rex looks the most realistic T-Rex I've ever seen. Yeah, if you're into origami.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Anyway, so we've done our... Oh, Seb, hit me up. What are you doing?
Oh, no, I lied. I just thought, like, it just popped into my head. The original Spider-Man game was on PS1.
Yeah.
Like, that one was, that changed everything for me, because I was like, we can play superheroes on this. This is game changing. And like if I remember correctly, that was the same game where like you couldn't necessarily touch the street because like the city was infected with fog, and so you had to like stay swinging and such like that.
Correct.
That game changed everything for me. That
was another clever way of getting rid of the draw distance, wasn't it? They used the fog as a weapon against you, so you couldn't.
Well,
it'd fog it out. It's really clever.
Considering it was swinging off the back of the Tony Hawk's skater engine, which was never envisaged for such large environments. So I actually think they did a pretty stand-up job there.
Yeah,
I think in the sequel you could see the streets.
Yeah, you could in the sequel.
But you if you fell below a certain story, you just fell to the ground. It was instant death.
Yeah.
So, although you could see it, it was just as poisonous as that gas that was in the previous game. Thin air is deadly. Don't forget that. I enjoyed that on the, and I believe its sequel managed to squeeze out just in time. Might be wrong. I'm sure Ray Space Monk will put me right. But Spider-Man on the Dreamcast, obviously, with its enhanced grunt and firepower, enabled that to be slightly prettier looking, but the same restrictions, obviously. Talking of Christmas games, here's one that I've actually recently downloaded, bought on the store. I've got it physical on the Dreamcast and on the PlayStation. I've downloaded it digitally because I don't know why. Flexibility, and it was super cheap. We're talking pennies. So I've got Shenmue that I was going to have a little rustle through over the Christmas period. I'm a big fan of the Yakuza games, also seemingly set around Christmas time for the majority of them. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but there always seems to be a Santa or a Christmas tree in one of the shop displays. It's not alluded to specifically, but it's certainly a holiday that Japan celebrates in some way, shape, or form. So, yeah, Shenmue, it's got some nostalgic memories. It launched in the UK around that sort of time. I think I'd just about done it by the time sort of November, December-ish rolled around, if memory serves, because it's a bit of a blur. That console was sort of in, out. Everything was amazing for the first year, and then just disappeared like a ray with nothing in the boot. So yeah, that's that. So segueing away from games, what are you guys looking forward to doing with your Christmas day? RGT, got the family round? Going to bounce old Mr. RGT on the knee?
Yeah, well, we're out this Christmas around my parents' house.
So the bit of knee bouncing going on.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be the whole family's going as well. So that'll be a big Christmas day. We normally vary between family and friends each year and doing different things. But depending on games is depending on where I am. Really, is what we're playing. Last few years we were with friends and we really sort of used to play the Play League games. You get a PlayStation on your phones. Great fun at Christmas. Knowledge is power, and that's you, and things like that.
I had some great fun with those. Just drawn in
fantastic.
Non-gamers. SingStar's a bit intimidating because you've got to literally stand up and sing, so that's a little bit off the limits.
Yeah.
Original Connect. I've detailed my journey with that. I want to love it, but ultimately it's garbage. And PlayLink is that happy sort of in between space between gaming and board games and family entertainment that it just saddles so perfectly. Download the app on your phone. If Granny doesn't know how to do it, you just hack her thing, download it for her, easy peasy, sit it down. Everyone has a bit of fun. I think knowledge is, It's You is the one where there aren't any actual general knowledge quizzes. It's about you.
Just about you,
and your responses.
And you find out with that game, with That's You, you'll play it with the family, you'll play it with the kids, and it's all quite funny, and the kids are doing funny things. Then as the evening goes on, the children go to bed. You carry on drinking the mulled wine and the eggnog. Before you know it, complete filth on the game. And That's You games would just, especially when you had to draw pictures over, colouring people's faces and draw them in a uniform, it would get.
I tell you, that was one element of the game that everyone drew an element of the picture.
Yeah.
And it went round, and as you watched the picture build, it was always quite interesting to see quite what fallacies you were wearing by the end of it, to say the very least.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that I'm going to put you on the spot here, RGT, because I don't want this Christmas episode to go by without a Christmas gift. Don't panic. I don't want you to have to give away any of your collection, but I want you to I think this might be best off headset. You might need to down headset just briefly. And then I want you to close your eyes and spin your arm around until it rests upon a game from your library. And it can be any system. And that's going to be your Christmas hidden gem. A little bit of homework you'll have to write retrospectively for Bada Bingster to pretty up. But I think this could be fun.
Right.
So me and Seb are going to maybe like sportscasters, as something interesting's about to happen in the game, they talk about the science of the game and they just basically fill for time. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to say to you, RGT, down headset and perform the spin. Now, it's
do you want a blind pick or do you want me to actually pick a game of my choice?
Both. A blind pick and then a game of your choice.
Bear in mind, it could be something completely random and terrible.
Yeah. That's.
We hope so.
That's what. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I'm going to do my best American sportscaster. Seb, you join me here backstage at RTG's Game Shed, and the man's got a staggering amount of games. What's the chances here? Looking at the StatCast, coming back 70% likely chance of a sports title. What's your take on that?
Well, George, I think before we get to the question, I think we have to basically applaud the way that RGT took his headset off. I mean, masterful performance there, flawless form. He got out of the chair immaculately. Now he's looking at the games, and I believe going through his library, and he does a spin. I see the form is there, the grace is there, and everything about the way you see the way he spins and the way he pirouettes and the way he like as the ballerina.
I've got to stop you there, Seb. The man just pirouetted around a SingStar microphone like a gazelle across the African plains. Is it bad taste me doing this voice?
No. I think that was spot on. But ladies and gentlemen, this is a Hall of Fame performance we're witnessing here. Like you think that this was a simple task, but the way he does this so gracefully makes you wonder if he was just born to do this job.
Veteran of the game, he's making it look very simple. He's approaching back at the chair. To use a baseball analogy, he's back on the mound. It's not the sort of mound he traditionally pound, but by the by, he's got 2 choice titles in his hands.
Before you reveal the choices, though, can we guess the genre?
Yeah, the blind pick one is quite random, so good luck.
Okay.
And also, I found Wayne Ray under me for some reason, so they are desperate for games at Christmas, aren't they?
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought there was a few gaps on the shelf. Wayne Ray's in there.
I noticed I had 2 or 3 pot noodles missing, and that's the staple diet of the Wayne Rayicus.
Yeah,
that's the Latin name for a Wayne Ray. So we're gonna have a stab at the genre. I'm going to go what I initially thought when you stood up. There's a 70% chance on StatCast that you're going to be coming back with a sports title.
Oh, I say he's going to be a JRPG.
Is this for my pick one, is it?
This is for we're going to go with a random pick first.
The random pick first, okay. You are both wrong on that.
Whoa.
Okay, beguile us with what it is.
The random pick one is Driver San Francisco.
Dang.
Now that is a UCP belter of a game. Is that not the one where you kind of absorb other people's lives and go in and out of the cars?
Yeah, fantastic game,
I mean,
really.
That was a random pick.
Yeah, and especially after how bad Parallel Lines was, Driver, this was a resurgence of that.
I tell you one thing.
Brilliant game.
That's some serious Christmas baubles you just used to pull that belter off the shelf. Well, write that son of a gun up and make sure she finds herself in the appropriate time. What's the real? Now, Seb, I'm looking to you. StatCast says, what sort of genre of game is actually?
Why didn't you try and pick the console first?
Oh, the console. I say I'm going to go with the PS2.
It's a safe and warm feeling. I'm going to err towards... I'm going to box myself in a corner. I'm going to say PS1.
No. More modern.
Ah.
What?
So it's a Switch game.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a Switch game.
Nice work, Seb.
Is this game a first party game?
Yes.
Okay, first party. And we got first party Nintendo. Does this game have Ghost in it?
Yeah, I think it does in certain places. Yeah.
Okay. So we're narrowing it down, George. We got like a first party Nintendo game. It has Ghost in it. And...
Is it Mario Odyssey?
No, think more what you would do if you were around a family's house and you want to all play together.
Oh, Mario Kart. No, Mario Party. Mario Party.
Yeah.
Naked Twister. Oh, God. Okay.
Mario Party.
So there's your Christmas picks. Driver Parallel Lines. Driver 76, not Parallel Lines, which is...
Driver San Francisco.
Driver San Francisco, 76.
76 is the PSP game. Driver 76. Driver San Francisco is the PS3 game.
Every time we've ever spoken about that game, I get it mixed up with the PSP game. Why?
Yes. I don't know. Actually, Driver 76 is a brilliant PSP game, actually. That is a
Don't get me started on the wonderful Serenade Me PSP. Oh, you look so beautiful to me. Dressed up like a mini PS3. Come to me. It's 2006, but I feel like it's 2025 when I hold one of those bad boys in my hand. Okay. Well, that was a little bit of Christmas fun, a little bit of fun for people to play along with at home while they're listening. At the end of the day, you've got to do something with the Christmas time. And if they haven't been good boys and girls, this podcast's about what you're going to get. And as always, our dedication to making sure it's in free in your feed is 100%. But the thing we ask back in return, my dream Christmas gift would be to wake up and the Discord literally be busting at the gunnels. Because everybody that listens doesn't get in the Discord. And one day I'd like to wake up and find everybody that listens is in the Discord. That isn't that much to ask. One would imagine. Thing is, for all that fun frolics and friendships to make, along with like-minded gamers like yourself, George, I don't want to get all weird on you, but there's normally a price associated. Let me stop you there. There is no price associated with this Discord. There's nothing. And in there, you can share your pickups, you can chat to like-minded gamers, you can arrange gaming nights with your fellow friends on whatever format of game, genre of game, and console of choice. We even have a few PC master races in there. We're all encompassing bunch. Come join us. Make my Christmas the best Christmas I've ever had. Parentheses, obviously family members that feel slightly disillusioned by my comment there can probably ignore it and insert relevant family memory. Close brackets. Move to one side. With that all said and done, one would imagine we should probably quite quickly bring this Christmas episode to a wrap. And we should do so by saying that Ray can't make it. So make your own assumptions about where he is and what he's doing. I don't want to confuse matters, but I did notice Deb's Babs has been closed for the same amount of time as Ray has been missing. So he's either Santa Claus or he's gone inflagrato with Debs again. That's a thought I don't want to be left with this Christmas. So I'm going to imagine he's in a red and white suit. RGT.
Yes.
What's your exiting Christmas wish?
What I'm hoping this year, especially as I've got a bit of time off work, is I'm gonna treat myself and I'm gonna pop to Retro Replay Arcade just up the road from me, and also kindly partnerships of our show. I'm gonna have a day there, enjoy all the games. It's gonna be a lovely little Christmas break, playing the consoles. Might even treat myself to a couple of crafty beers in the bar and have a good day there.
I like the way you've brought that back on topic, but shame on you, because last episode, you didn't mention them at all.
That's why I've just done it.
And right now, we're in contravenous of a rather large contract. So you probably ought to mention them again, and then we're probably all square.
Yes. So Retro Replay Arcade, Castle Quarter, Norwich, £10 all day. All you get is a wristband. You can go and leave that arcade as much as you want in that day. It's open till 10 o'clock at night. There's retro console room. There's modern consoles. There's a licensed bar. There's loads of arcade machines, all the classics from your Simpsons to your 4-player Turtles, Operation Wolf, House of the Dead. They're all in there. So pop along. Yeah, our leaflets are in there now as well. So
I was going to say the only place currently where you can go and pick up some free of charge Unofficial Controller Podcast Season 4 artwork to stick on your bedroom wall. Yeah. It doesn't really get much better than that. And seeing as it's Christmas, does it get more generous? One would argue no. Seb, what's your dream Christmas wish? Now, this can be peace on humanity, or it could be getting a little drop of yarn and blood in you.
The hell with the peace on humanity thing. My Christmas wish is very simple. Very simple. I want this to be the best year of video games of all time. We have this year coming up in 2023 has the potential. We have a list of games. Xbox has Starfield. Nintendo has a Zelda. PlayStation has Spider-Man 3. And then we have a whole bunch of third-party games to kind of fill us out all throughout this year. I want each one of these games to hit their dates and come out the gate swinging. I want the game. Yeah, I want the game of the year discussion next year to be one of the hardest choices I've ever had to make regarding video games, because it has, for pound, it has the potential to be that for everything that's coming out third party, everything that coming out in the first party lineups. This has the potential to be a banger year in video games.
That's a very, very wonderful and peaceful and very forward-thinking wish, Seb. And I, much like RGT's noises of agreement in the background, I completely agree and wish that would become upon us. I smell a raft of delays as developers who are up against a mega hit of a title panic, scream, and chuck another couple of months development time, or maybe just they stop shipment of the game while they wait for everyone to stop freaking out about the latest, biggest thing to happen so they can release their game under the radar. But fingers crossed, everything hits day and date and we get a whiff of everything. I don't know if I've had a gaming wish, but if I did have one, just a general wish, it would be to anyone that's ever listened to this show, peace on you. Your support across the years has been wonderful. The support in the community for members of the community as time has gone on has been literally awe-inspiring. How a random show has been able to pull such an eclectic mix of people together and then them all get on and support each other in such a beautiful way, whilst also tuning in simultaneously every week. It still defies my belief, and thank you to everyone for doing that genuinely from the bottom of my heart. So thank you for that. Thank you for welcoming us back after our short hiatus while we shifted some things around and got ready for season 4. Seb, you have something to part us with here. What are you giving us?
I think I have one last question for the two of you. I'm very curious. What is going to be the holiday meal for each of you? I'm very curious because I'm an American Texan, so I wonder what is going to be the difference between our Christmas dinners. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see. Tell us what Christmas is like at the dinner table for you.
Well, I might speak for both of us here in describing the traditional English British Christmas meal. Now, I don't have this, but normally it's a dry ass piece of cheap ass turkey, something that's been festering at the bottom of a local supermarket shelf. And it's probably picked up by Dad, who's got his back to the wall because he's been way too busy with work paying for all this drivel. And then he's been dispatched as an extra special challenge to a place he doesn't normally go, a supermarket. And he's wandered in there, and the closest thing he can find to a turkey is a cellophane wrapper that got ripped off in the heist, which he's now decided to wrap a chicken in. No one will know anyway. By the time it's been in the oven for 6 hours, it all tastes the same. That with some Brussels sprouts. I don't even know what they're called in America. Probably dog sick, if I'm honest. Some pigs in blankets, which is basically a small sausage wrapped in bacon. Some roast potatoes. Bizarrely, for some reason, even though Yorkshire puddings are synonymous with a beef meal, at Christmas we want all the trimmings and taste goes out the window as Yorkshire pudding accompanies, bizarrely, turkey. There's normally some white sauce associated with some sort of leek or carrot type item. If you haven't had enough carbs, if you've had some roast potatoes, well, you might as well have some mashed potatoes. And while you're there, pal, you might as well have some parsnip as well. What I call parsnip is basically potato with style, skill, taste, and aplomb. It's like everything about a potato, but good. You can roast and boil and put them in a stew. Shake your head if you want to, pal, but that's like a flavour sensation. Whereas potato, once mashed, tastes like nothing but fresh air. It's barely potato anymore. It resembles more like a savoury cotton candy, aka candy floss. And that's then smothered in probably what's an overperformed and probably at that point well-cooked gravy. It's taken on the sort of texture of melted human skin. And as its sort of brown chocolatey flavour starts to seep across your meal like magma from a volcano, it also takes on the sort of heat from a volcano as the person who was meant to prepare the gravy, who did so at probably 0800 hours, it's now 1400 hours, and they think, oh my goodness, my contribution was to serve up warm gravy. So they've stuck it in the microwave and served it back on the plate at probably the same Kelvin radius as the sun, which then literally melts the upper roof of your mouth off. So that's Christmas really wrapped up. Oh, and don't forget, if you think you've had enough at Christmas and you've got what can only be described as a plate that needs guardrails to stop the food escaping out the side of it, one of the elder female relatives will look at you, even if you're slightly rotund gentleman in the UK, and they'll say, oh, he's a grown lad, isn't he? I don't want to put this food in the bin or the dogs, so you might as well another probably 4 times what you've already had. It basically upends probably everything in the kitchen on your plate with probably a hint of horseradish sauce. Again, that's normally accompanying something like beef, but at Christmas, everything is accompanied by everything in the UK household. You then basically force all of that down to politely decline pudding, to see it as something that you're going to have later that evening when you've digested probably a year's worth of food. When you recover from the food coma, though, the last thing you ever want to see is more food. And that's when Mumsy trips in with a booze-based pudding. Alcohol levels probably enough to get you done for drunk driving if you drove immediately afterwards, covered now in cold custard that you politely pick at until said relative disappears, and you can feel really sorry for yourself shortly after, wondering why you spent the whole day built around some sort of cuisine-based activity when actually all you wanted to do is stay in your pajamas or possibly less clothing while playing with your new toys. And even as an adult, that's still a wish I think we have. So I don't know how close to a Christmas American scenario I've just summed up, but that's the British one.
Okay. You know, a lot of differences there between the American Christmas.
we do have one. My wife, Mrs. RGT, she does one special Christmas breakfast. That's a bit of a tradition now that we have before we go, and that is toasted muffins, the scrambled egg,
good.
and smoked salmon on. And we have that with a glass of Bucks Fizz every Christmas morning. That's our little tradition. But the rest of the meal, like George says, is spot on. That's about the rest of the day.
Would it be offensive to you if I woke up between you and Mrs. RGT on Christmas morning wearing nothing but a smile in the of this fish-based dish?
It'd be a pleasure.
On that raw salmon-based note,
Yes.
I probably think we should head to the trees. I think I tried to sum it up earlier, but I've said it many, many times, and we probably ought to get it on a T-shirt. But the hidden gem about the UCP, the thing that probably goes under everyone's noses, is the community, is our crown jewel. It kind of what holds us together. It keeps us together. It gives us direction to take the show in. Hopefully, for season 4, we've picked the right direction and we're coming at you all guns blazing, and you're happy. If not, let us know and we can fine tune and adjust whatever it is we need to change. With that, I must wish all my co-hosts. I'm going to get all gregarious here. I'm going to wish Tom the very best. I'm going to wish, obviously, the current members, Bobby, Seb, and RGT. Without you, it would be me just waffling into a microphone, and one could imagine that's probably not going to work out for me very well as a below average talented guy. So without you guys, there would be no show. Without the community, there'd be no show. So thank you so much for coming on and being part of the UCP family. Always changing, always evolving, but hopefully always heading in the right direction. And I would say Merry Christmas to you and yours.
Christmas to you, George.
Same to you. Stay away from Ray.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closest, Seb. Seb's Stingray's coming mine, right, for Christmas. Okay. Gonna have myself a merry Christmas. See what I've done there? Probably on that flawed joke bombshell, I should say. That's all we have time for this week. Listeners, always thank you for your time. Look forward to the pleasure of speaking to you again next week. Until then, happy gaming. Remember, there's nothing wrong with being given the unofficial controller. It's what you do that counts. Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.